Hello, I'm Tristan Titeux. I'm an eco-fitted furniture pioneer, and I thought I'd take you back to my home country, which is Belgium. Although I was born in London, and a few months later I came to Belgium. So my first 13 years were spent over here in these valleys in Wonk, which is between Liège and Maastricht in Holland. So we're very close to the Maastricht border, to the Dutch border. We're not far away from Germany, and France is only an hour in the other direction. So it's a place where you can easily get to lots of different countries and see different things. And these are the fields and woods that I used to play in when I was little. The forest over there, I built many huts and spent lots of time running around with my friends, building stuff and just getting to know nature and being completely free to do what I wanted. So that was a really nice thing that I really appreciate my parents for bringing me back to Belgium for. On that side, another 50 to 100 meters, there's a quarry, and that's another completely different place. It's got, over there I used to go and get fossils, a lot of calamaris, which are about the size of a finger, and there's a rock face because they've dug straight down, and there were some ledges. We used to walk along the ledges and go and pick the fossils out of the face. And that was really interesting because from far away you could just see all the different layers of life, and you had a lot of silex in between, because this particular part is very flinty, which is silex, is the French word for flint. Flint is one of the strongest, hardest stone, well, the hardest stone in the world, sorry. And it's a fantastic stone. They build a lot around here, or used to build in that stone originally. Also with chalk, they'd make chalk blocks and really easily, carve them into big fat blocks like this. My house is just at the bottom of the valley, about 300 meters down there, and that's made out of, the walls are about 60 centimeters thick. They're made of flint and that chalk as well. So I lived right down there at the bottom. There's a river that goes down the bottom, and we lived in a house that had one tap, a cold tap in the kitchen, and I was brought up there with my dad and my mum. My mum introduced my dad to wild plants, and he started studying wild plants and then talking about them and writing about the benefits of plants that you find everywhere in the fields that people call bad plants. The French word for weeds is mauvaise herbe, which is bad plant. Just over here you've got some nice wild marjoram. That smells lovely. There's all sorts of stuff you can find everywhere, and I used to go with my dad picking mushrooms and blackberries. I've got a picture of me when I was about, I don't know, 3 years old, picking those in the forest, and I used to love picking mushrooms. That was absolutely fantastic. So we lived down there very frugally in a house, and I learnt the value of water. I learnt that natural resources were precious, that we mustn't waste. When we were cleaning our teeth, we had to turn the tap off, and because we only had one tap in the house, the bathroom was outside, and we would fill up buckets and take them to the bath and heat up kettles of water. So I understood that, or my parents showed me that, things were precious. Water was not just something that was infinite, and neither was the heat that produced the hot water. We used to be very careful with the wood. I could see the wood burning in the open fire. We had two fires, one in the kitchen that had a big stove and an oven, and then the open fire, and you could see how much wood was burning. You could see what you were using up. It wasn't some nondescript thing like electricity that just magically comes across the power lines that are over there, very ugly. So it's not a nondescript thing. We could see the fire that the wood that we were using, and it's not something like electricity that's just piped through a wire into your home and that you just, it seems to be endless. So we could really see, I learned to be close, very close to nature. I mean, if you chop up a piece of wood, put it in the fire, watch it burn, feel the heat directly, you don't, you know, you can't really get much closer to nature than that. And so I really appreciate where materials come from, and my aim is to teach other people, show other people that materials are not just materials that are just there magically. A lot's gone behind them. There's a lot of people that have had to work to produce the materials. There's a tree that's had to grow from a seed. There's all sorts of processes and things that are used in the making of materials, and I really think that those materials, if we knew and understood more about them, where they came from, I think that we'd value them more and be less likely to want to throw them away. So that's one of the many things that that living here has taught me. And in that house with my dad, who was one of the original ecologists at the time in the 70s, when, you know, that was just unheard of really. Nobody spoke about global warming, nobody spoke about very much in those days. It's quite a new thing these days that everybody knows, and which is fantastic that now everybody knows what it's all about, and it's really gaining momentum. So my dad was there right at the beginning, and so he taught me a lot of stuff, and I've got some of, well, I've got his blood really. I've got the best of his traits, left the bad ones behind. And what else do we have over here? So I've spoken about the quarry, we've got the trees we used to play over there, the house. We had, yes, I said the bathroom was outside, the toilet was outside, and I lived here for 13 years, and then I moved to London where things were very different. But I had a lovely bedroom right at the top of a house, and I made a workshop in there. And when I lived here, my dad's got a workshop. I was always fiddling in there, making stuff. I'm very practical. I like to see how things are made, and I'm very curious. I like to know how things are made because I'm very, very curious, and I don't just accept what anybody says to me or gives to me. I want to know why, where, you know, where things come from. So that's really what interests me, and I want to share what I find out and do what I can to help others. So if there's anything I can do to help you, I would be really happy to do so. Thank you very much for listening to me, and for coming back to Wonk.